Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Easy 8 Online Painting Club. My name's Danny. It's been a really fun week this week. The sun's been out. It's been a glorious week. I've even managed to get a little bit of painting done this week. I hope you've had a really good week. I've been in contact with a lot of the viewers over the past few days through Discord and just generally on Facebook and things, and even some of my friends as well. A lot of you already in the live chat up there. 3 of you waiting before I even got in there. Got Jeff Lacey, oi everyone. Stafford Causey, aloha. Aloha. I don't know if that's how you actually say that. Aloha, aloha. And then Luke, heyo. Hi, how's it going? Thanks for coming along again. So yeah, this week I've got a little bit done, more than I usually do. I've just kind of been playing with some like painting schemes and things, and trying to get as much time as I possibly could to myself. I did actually have a day off, but I didn't get anything done because I was just so tired. I just kind of sat and watched TV. But then I had some friends over during the week and stuff, and yeah, just generally been kind of re-enthused about kind of getting back to painting and things. Also very happy to announce that we've got some new viewers. I don't know if you guys are watching right now. I can see that there's a view count up at the top, which is more than the people in the live chat. So hopefully you are watching. If you are, welcome to Easy 8. For anybody else that's new, if you're watching it back on replay, or for those that have come along and just don't remember, it's not a tutorial channel, not in the slightest. I can never normally say tutorial channel, but apparently today I can. That's great. It's just a community, a live feed community, so that you can join in and get some stuff painted, knowing that people are going through the same thing as well. Because sometimes it can kind of drag out a little bit, and other times it's really exciting and you want to kind of show and celebrate the stuff that you've been doing. So yeah, you can find us over on Facebook, here on YouTube and Instagram, and also on Discord. I haven't added it just here at the moment because I can't find a little Discord symbol. Not that I've had time to put it on there anyway. But yeah, you can go on over to Facebook, have a look at what the community are putting up there under the community tab. It's really active all the time. People just putting up photos of all their stuff and discussing all their ideas. Excuse me. So yeah, that's probably our most active place at the moment. You can head on over there, you can click on a like, you can click on follow and get updates from us all the time. And of course here on YouTube, you can give us a little subscribe. Such a small gesture from yourself, but it means such a large amount to me and Kyle here at Easy 8. Where is Kyle? I've actually managed to get in contact with him this week. So for those of you who don't know who Kyle is, it's not normally just me here. There's normally me over here on this side, and then there's normally Kyle over here on this side. But the last few weeks, as we all know, has been really tough for him. He's had a lot of work to do. He lost a lot of his university work because he was doing a degree to become a teacher. He lost a lot of it on his laptop over a malfunction. It happened, and he's been working so hard to get all that work redone. And I spoke to him earlier on, just briefly via text message, and he's got that work done. He's worked so hard to get it done. He's just toasted. He's not going to be able to make it tonight. But for those of you who are a part of the Kyle fan club, he really wants to make a bit of a comeback next week. Whether he's able to or not, we'll see. Time will tell. Hopefully he'll be able to join us, and then he's not going to be available until summer, just because it's the last little step for him going into the career that he wants to do. And then after that, yeah, we'll have Kyle back again, and it'll be really good. Adrian Dean has joined us. So much for me getting my words out properly. Every week, man. Join us in the live chat. Yeah, Adrian says, good evening. Jeanette says hi, and she'll catch you later on. Cool, brilliant. For those of you that don't know, last week was the launch of our Discord server. There is a link to it in the description of this video. Please do check us out later on. It's active all the time. You can just kind of jump on there. It's probably quite new at the moment. Not everyone's on it all the time. I don't have a massive following here at Easy 8. I'm not one of those YouTubers that has thousands of subscribers, though I wish I was. It's just not the case. But it's fine. It's a humble community. It's really lovely, and everyone helps everybody. So you can go check out Discord server if you want to. I call it the after party, because I do like to be on after the show, even if it's just for a few minutes. Tonight I'm going to be on there for at least half an hour, just to kind of catch up with you, not one-to-one, but directly, not just here on a show that's on replay. And you can kind of join in anytime you want to, and there's so much stuff that you can do on Discord. If you want to show off your models and your paintwork, then you can. If you want to just kind of chit chat with the community, you can do that. If you sell stuff, you can advertise for free through it. I don't mind, as long as you follow the Discord terms and conditions, which is really easy to follow. Just don't be a douche. Simple as that. And come along and join join in the gang. I've been on there a couple of times throughout the week. couple of times I was there by myself, a couple of times I was on there with Adrian and Jeanette, and we just had a chit chat. They helped me with some painting designs, and I came up with some really cool ideas. So it's been worthwhile already. Luke Gallia is in the comments over there, or not the comments, the live chat at the moment, and he is the person who is responsible for the Discord server. So thanks again, Luke. It's really cool. It looks brilliant. He's put a lot of his own time and effort into kind of building it and making it what it is. So yeah, it's there for you. Go and join in, chit chat. I hope to be there on Sunday afternoon. That would be great. Yeah, that's when I'm going to try and chill out and get some stuff done. So tonight, because some of our new viewers, who I hope are watching right now, or at least later on, I know that some of them paint or are starting to paint or build a Tyranid army. And I was actually going to move away from my Tyranids this week because I've been doing it for quite a while, and I kind of like to change things up and make things different for the show. But I thought what I'd do for those new viewers coming in is I'd show you what I do with my Tyranids. And I've got a couple of monsters on the go. I'll say I was going to put them aside, but I'll carry on for the first half of the show, and I'll do these Tyranids. And then the second half of the show, I'll come back to my 15mm tanks, because I know that there are some people in the community out there that really want me to get involved in that. And I've been having some very exciting conversations with Stafford Corsi, who's watching right now, about the tanks games that we are wanting to play together. So yeah, I'm going to kind of crack on with those and get some tanks painted too, and that'll be really, really cool. I would also, because of an enthusiastic conversation that led on from that with Stafford, like to get Gaslands going as well, which is a game that has no models made for it. It's kind of, the onus is on the community to make their own models, but it's typically made for using Hot Wheels cars. There's a whole community for Gaslands out there. You can find Facebook groups aplenty, and the idea is that you just kind of either just use a Hot Wheels car straight out of the packet if you want to, because why not, or you can strip them all down to their bare metal and repaint them, and some of the designs out there are absolutely fabulous. And it can just be as normal cars if you want to. It can be really post-apocalyptic and Mad Max like, whatever you want. And the rulebook is only about £8 or £10 or something, and you can buy it through Osprey Publishing, which I didn't expect to be talking about Gaslands. Sometimes my math just walks away, so I haven't put a link to it in the description, but I will after the show has been published. So yeah, you can get it by PDF. It's fantastic. It's brilliant fun. We've had some brilliant sober and drunk nights playing Gaslands, and it would be kind of cool to paint a car up over an evening or two, and get ready for the eventual reuniting with our friends on a larger scale and start playing some games. That would be awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to crack on with some Tyranids this evening. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I'd love to know what you're painting this evening. It's not just me here, it's you as well. Let us know what you're working on this evening, what your plans are. Head on over to Facebook, take some photographs of what you've got going on, stick them up on the community tab, and share it with the community. There's been lots going on this week. You guys have been really hard at work. So yeah, let us know, because I'd love to know. Anyway, I'm going to take us over to the workbench. Here we are. So, for those of you that are wanting to have a look at my Tyranids, I mean, you can always go back as well. Like, go back a couple of episodes if you wanted to. I have my Trigon model, which is a really large monster. It's probably the largest model in Tyranids or Games Workshop that I've ever done. And I've also got my Carnifex going. I have the two of them so that I can go backwards and forwards, because sometimes you just kind of lose it a little bit with one model, and if you've got like a whole squad, then you can break it down a little bit, I suppose. But just doing one monster, I found a little bit tedious. And some days I struggle with this one because I'm at a blending stage with this one, and this one here I'm just kind of doing block colours at the moment. So I'm going to start off nice and easy, because I found that helps me a little bit. Cat hairs, you might notice I have a few in my eye this evening, and there's a few floating around here. Okay, because she's decided that she likes to sleep in the studio now at night. She likes to change that room around occasionally, so this place is just filled with cat hairs. But hey ho, she lives here too. Stafford's put into the comments, I'm painting another Panzer IV, a Tiger and a Ferdinand tonight. Excellent, because I am also painting a Ferdinand. I've got a Jagdtiger, and I'm sure I've got a Panzer as well. I've got a Stug. And I'm quite interested actually about the colour schemes that I want to crack on with those this evening. So I might be asking you later on. Perhaps I'll have a discussion about my mouse as well. That's not a mouse in the kitchen kind of a mouse. That's the Morse, the German super tank. So maybe we can do that as part of the after party on Discord. Anyway, cool. Cool. Glad you're doing some German tanks. I love German tanks. They're wonderful. So last week, I think I pretty much finished blocking in all the colours on the carapace on my Trigon, who I like to call Susan. Named by the community. Thanks, guys. So it's taken a little while. I still got to do like a couple of coats just over the big talons here, but that won't take me just a couple of minutes to do that, really, because it's just big open spaces, and it's just making sure that the colours are nice and opaque. I've just, you know, I can see here there's a little bit there, for example, that just needs a bit going over. Perhaps the camera can pick it up. And I've been spending a little bit of time here and there, just edging it all in, bringing the undersides of the carapace in nice and close to where the skin is. And there's occasionally a bit that's really difficult to get to. For example, really hard to see, but just in underneath this piece here, it's really hard just to get the camera in there, let alone a paintbrush. So every now and again, I just get a little bit of grey paint with a rubbishy paintbrush, and I just kind of fill that area in. But the bit that's been taking me for ages is just the edging along the tail, along the body, just because sometimes it's just hard to get the brush in behind a lot of the limbs, and there are a lot of limbs. And every now and again I look at it and I find yet another spike that I need to paint. I think we are all up to date with spikes. One of the things I wanted to do with this one that I haven't done yet, and this is one of the jobs I wanted to do on last Wednesday, which is my day off, but I didn't do it at all, was taking out some of the lines that are here and then here and here. Just gonna like carve them out because it's like a bit of a bad join, and there's some lines of glue in there that, to be fair, you couldn't see when it was when it was pre-built, before it was painted. Now you can. It's a bit tough. So yeah, you can see these lines here, and I'm gonna scrape them out and I'm gonna fill them with some putty. Now my headphones are beeping at me like they're not plugged in, which is weird because I've plugged them in this evening. Bear with me a second. They're plugged in now. There we go. They're beeping at me. I'm like, now, please don't run out now. Okay, so Lucas says, I'm seeing how much of my Imperial Knights armor panels I can get done today, but I can't find my palette that I had a minute ago. And then, palette found. Good lad. It's probably under the bin. You were repairing that last week. Wonderful. So Imperial Knights, wow, big project. How many knights have you got? I'd love to know. I like the little mini ones, or the knights armigers, whatever. The little lancy ones. I think they're really cool. I like the big knights. I think they're awesome. But the little ones, they just kind of got that steampunk aspect to them. They're very kind of, I suppose Vernian, Jules Vernian. Yeah, I really like all that sort of stuff. I'd love to start a Skitarii army. For that reason, for all that kind of, really old style Martian style storybook novella thing, sort of H.G. Wells, who's my favourite author, the Jules Verne sort of influence. I love all of that, but it's just another army, isn't it? And as we know, a little while ago, I was getting close to catching up with my Tyranids, and then I had a disgusting amount of Tyranids given to me for free. Thanks, Leslie, again. So yeah, I've got a lot to crack on with. So no Vernian style Martian themed Skitarii armies yet, though it would be cool. Maybe I will. I don't know. Let's see where impulse takes me, shall we? So what I'm going to do this evening on this Trigon is maybe in a little bit I'll do some grey on the giant talons, but leave that behind for now. I've been working on the mouth recently. I painted the inside skull white, which is just this skull white, screaming white, or screaming skull. It used to be skull white, did it? I can't remember. It's an off-white colour. It's a really nice colour. It's got a really nice texture to it from Citadel. Not all their paints are the same, but this one is a really, really good one. It covers really, really well, has a really good consistency. And then I did like a little wash over it using Carroburg Crimson. This is a little combination of colours that I absolutely love to use for various things on my Tyranids. I use the screaming skull as just the base for teeth or bones and things like that, and then I use browns on them. But the using the crimson over the top kind of gives you a bit of a pinky sort of texture. Really good for doing brains on zone thropes, which I absolutely loved. If you have a Maliceptor, which is the bigger monster with the exposed brain bits down the side of it, then that's a really good paint scheme to use on it too. I also discovered it's really good for doing the insides and mouths. I thought I'd give it a try and see what it was like. And it works really well. But talking with the community last week, you can see that I've also done the gums here as well, and it looks really, really good. Nice, subtle sort of colour change between the yellow to the white. We're using the pinks. But I wanted to make the tongue a slightly different colour. Not to paint it an entirely different hue, but just maybe kind of lend it like a new sort of translucent colour to it, just to kind of make it look a bit different. So I used, during the after party after last week's show on Discord, Army Painter's Quick Shade Blue Tone. They just make a huge amount of different types of shades. Games Workshop call them shades. These guys call them washes. It's the same thing. It's a watery paint that you know, kind of lends a different colour to the scheme that you're painting on. And it sort of worked. It sort of didn't. I like what it did, but it didn't really deliver in the best way. I'll put a little picture up on Facebook. You can see it if you head on over there now. It's probably a little bit easier to see than looking here on the show right now. It was close, but no cigar. In fact, what I like is the two colours together. So you've got the crimson wash, and then you've got the blue tone wash that I've put in there as well. I like the blue tone over the top of the crimson, just as a general, in the whole mouth area itself. I think it's kind of cool. It's like this two-tone effect. It's really good. But then I still want the tongue to be a bit more purple, I think. The guys in the community were saying purple's a really good colour, you should do it. And so everyone was saying in Discord and on the show last week, do purple. So I think this week I'm going to have a little look through my colours. I'm going to have a look for a nice purple. I don't want it too dark. I don't want a violet colour. I want it to stand out. But I don't want it to be a complete clash. Not a clash. I don't want it to be a complete opposite colour to what's already in there, because it will just be silly. It'd be like having green, and it would be just ridiculous. So yeah, that's going to be my task for the immediate future. And then I'm just going to clean the teeth up a little bit, and I'm just going to paint those, the sort of the off-white colour here. And then I'm going to see if I can just start browning them. I'd like to give them a bit of a yellow effect. I don't really have any yellow washes here, so I might just kind of give them all a bit of a slight dousing with the Seraphim, which is a really nice sort of paler brown. And then I've got some Agrax Earthshade, which is a deeper, darker brown. You can see the difference between the two there. And what I'll do is I'll kind of give them all a light brushing with the Seraphim, and then I'll use Agrax Earthshade to kind of sort of edge them, if you like, up by the gum lines, and it just gives them that little bit of definition, that little bit of pop, and it just kind of breaks the colour schemes down a little bit. More cat hairs in my eye, going strong there now. I'd also like to do all the joints between all the parts of the limbs. This one doesn't have very many bits between the elbows and the wrists. There are a couple of bits and pieces, but I'm going to do those that sort of pinky colour as well, because on some of my other Tyranids, it's just a nice colour to break up the whole yellow scheme on there. For example, a little bit in this wrist here, just up there, under the elbow. If I turn it upside down, you can see it almost looks like venting, if you like, just in the elbow here. So, it's really hard to show you on the camera, but if you see one of these up close, you'll get it. And the biggest part on this model is actually just here at the bottom of the tail, where these pincers are. I thought that just kind of doing this whole section here pink, just to make it look like there's some sort of muscle or tendon or sinew or whatever you'd want to call it, kind of just exposed at the end, because in my mind, and probably what was the intention of the design, was a giant snippy pincer tail section. So yeah, I'm just gonna add a little bit of colour to it. Yeah, and I think that'll look really good. We've also got all these kind of spikes down the edge of the tail section, and some just here as well on this. Is it the thorax and then the abdomen? Is that the right way around? I don't really know my insectoid biology very well. And I'm going to do those that pinky colour as well, but that's for another day. And that again just kind of breaks it all down, just makes them look like, I don't know, that they have a purpose, they do something. They're joints, so it kind of lends the impression that they move. It's just kind of cool. Stops it from just being block yellow on such a large creature. More comments going in from Adrian Dean saying next codex out is the Adeptus Mechanicus. So don't try and twist my arm to go and buy Skitarii now. If you don't know what Skitarii is, it is sort of the Martian creators for the Imperium, the human races in Warhammer 40,000. They kind of design everything and make everything. They have these giant forge worlds, planets that are just like factories where they make everything. Mars was the original one. Adeptus Mechanicus is the organization, the body, and Skitarii is their militant arm. I'm going to grab a little drink because, wow, talk a lot on this show. Red wine tonight. Cheers, because day off tomorrow. Oh, that is a cheeky red wine. Lovely. Right, I'm going to pop that over there. I nearly knocked it over just before the show started as well. Don't do that. So then, what are we going to do? Before I paint the teeth, I'm going to have a little go at playing, painting the tongue in there. See if I can make it a different colour. Maybe I'll add a bit of blue tone to the rest of the mouth as well. And then I'm going to clean up the teeth. I'd clean up the teeth afterwards because obviously, if I've got a paintbrush in there, I could get it all over the teeth like I did last week. You can see bits of pink on it. And I've just noticed that there's a little bit of fuzz hanging around in there as well. So I don't want to paint that in. Gotta get these tiny little tweezers. Where's it gone? I saw it. There it is. It's a tiny little fibre. Probably a cat hair. You know what it's like. Yeah, cool. Got that out of the way. I'm going to paint the eyes on in like a nice electric blue. And I've never had a Tyranid model with such big eyes as this model. So I'm going to do like a darker blue base, and then I'm going to make it like a bit of a glow working out through an electric blue, maybe even a white. I've never really never been very good at doing eyes or lenses or that kind of glow effect. I don't want to have the OSL feature, where you kind of get that shine around the eye socket. That's not the sort of level I want to go with my Tyranids. Maybe on my Space Marines perhaps, but not here. But I do know that if you drop a little bit of black wash in there, maybe a bit of Nuln Oil, it just really helps define the eye socket. So I'll do that as well, but probably after I've done the blue colour. But that's for later. Right now, I'm going to have a little look through my paints. Where are they? They're all down here. Ugh. I'm going to have a look for some really interesting purples. Let me move this one out of the way. So I've got some hexed lichen, or lichen, however you want to pronounce it. I've got some alien purple. That's like a traditional green stealer purple there, I think. I've got some nice blues, magic blue. That's for eyes, I suppose. Electric blue. Yep, there's probably going to be those colours for that. Any other purples? Imperial blue. No. Got some warlord purples. Probably getting a little bit out there. Look at all this cat hair. Come prepared, Danny. Crikey. Squid pink. No, we don't want squid pink. That's going a bit too far. Maybe I could do some highlighting with the squid pink. The squid pink worked really well on the tentacles for my spore mines. They were really, really good. Okay, so the colours that I have then are hexed lichen, and I've got alien purple, and I've got warlord purple. My light's bleaching out a little bit. Move one of those lights away. Here we go. So Jeff Lacey says, possibly put silver in the white for the teeth. That's an interesting idea. You could get quite a HR Geiger, or Giga, however you want to pronounce it, sort of look to it. That's quite, yeah, that might be interesting. I might give that a go a little bit later on. Yeah, mix it in. The silver will affect the colour of the white as well. It won't just necessarily make it like a sparkly white. It might actually make it quite grey or really dull it down. We'll have a little play with those colours in a moment. That'd be quite cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these a good shake, make sure that the colours are all mixed, and then as a community, perhaps you guys can help advise me what colour you think would work really well. If my lights are a bit bleaching things out this evening and you can't really see the colours that I'm working with very well under the camera, if you head on over to Facebook, you will see a couple of photos up there very recently of Susan's mouth. Maybe I won't say that next time. Okay, cool. So I think what we got here with the Hex Lichen is a very, very midnight, not even a midnight blue, it's probably moving on into the realms of a violet colour, which absolutely confirmed that is a violet. No need for the community to help me on that one. That's something I said I didn't necessarily want. I've got here now alien purple. That is actually a really, really nice colour. And that is, yeah, that's traditional green stealer. Green stealer? Who am I? Gene stealer. I highly recommend you go and watch another show. And there is my Warlord purple. That is, I don't know. I'm really puzzled. I don't know which one to use. I mean, they're going to change a little bit because I'm going to stain them. Maybe the Warlord purple look quite good. So that's this one here. Maybe this one will look really good with a blue stain over it. But then this one here could as well. If I get the blue stain, I'm calling it a stain, it's a wash, but you know, this is a watery colour. Let me just shake that up a minute. There we go. So you kind of get this nice translucent blue colour. Move my lights in. What sort of colours? I mean, is that working? I know that my screen actually shows me very different effects, so I don't know if this is helping you or not at all. But these colours are really nice. I don't want the violet. Let's get rid of the violet. Bye, violet. But I've got the alien purple and the warlord purple. And the trouble is if I keep on painting and painting and painting, eventually you lose all the detail. And it makes things difficult. And if I paint one colour and I don't like it, then I've got to dry it out. So that can be a bit tedious. What do you guys think? We've got another person in the comments. Leslie Stebbing. Yodel. Hi guys, how is everyone? Hi Leslie, thanks for coming along. Thanks for joining us. You've witnessed me this evening tripping over my words and spitting out my teeth. But otherwise, I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. It's a red wine night tonight. That is a really nice glass of wine. So, yeah, with these colours here, for you Leslie, I am trying to decide on colours for the tongue inside my Tyranid's mouth. I don't want to use the violet colour here. I think that's a little too dark. I've got this nice mid-purple here, or an almost pinky purple sort of colour, and I don't know which one to use. Waiting to see if anyone's going to put anything in there. I know there's a bit of a delay. I don't want to kind of get stuck in and people go like, oh yeah, use this colour, and it was the opposite colour. But yeah, I'm going to move my palette over here. Absolutely loving the wet palette lately. It's been a real help. Jeff says the last one. You reckon that's going to work in here? Yeah, that'd be cool. Darren says hi. Hi Darren. More viewers coming in. Nice to see you guys. How are you doing? Hope you're all well. Okay. Well, do you know what? Let's just do this. Let me get the Warlord. Is it Warlord purple? It is Warlord, isn't it? Yeah. Warlord purple. Let's give this one a go. Don't really have to add any water into these paints because these are airbrush paints and they're on my wet palette, so they're actually quite fluid already. Okay, let's get this colour in here. It's a very bright colour, but it will tone down when I start applying the blue shade over it later on, the blue wash, the blue tone. It's a little bit cartoony at the moment, but we'll see where it takes us. We'll see where it goes. If I paint over with another colour, that's fine. Leslie says, middle one in my opinion, but the last is also cool. And then Jeff says, keep it all in reds and high gloss it. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was probably going to gloss it. Okay, let me get a bit more paint out there. I only did a little dot just for kind of colour testing. Probably a bit too much on my brush then. Let's calm that down. Don't want to go in there and fire all of my guns at once. I'll explode into space if I do. Okay. Light is not helping being that close. Right. How's this looking? It's a bit thick at the moment. I'm just going to move it around. It takes ages to dry this stuff because it's a very watery paint. I have my concentration voice on at the moment, which is where I don't talk at all. I think I might have to get my needle brush in here, I think. It's a little bit requiring some dexterous work. To me, the colour's not really working. I think it pops out just a little bit too much. What do you guys think? It's a bit... It stands out from the pink of the mouth a little bit too much, I think. But, you know, I'm open to, you know, giving it its chance. I'll let it dry. And I'll put some blue wash on it, some blue tone. See if that kind of just dulls it down. Might change the hue a little bit. It might be really cool eventually. Right, I'm going to get my needle brush in there. Because it's quite tight to work in that little space in there. Where's my needle brush? Here it is. Okay. Don't know if I'm in shot properly now. Have a little look. Jeff says, yeah, it's a bit too much, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. I think it is. But either way, I've got to let it dry now. The paint's nice and thin. So it's not going to be too disastrous in terms of painting back over it. And it's really warm in this room here this evening. So hopefully it'll dry nice and quickly. When you compare it to like the gum and like the bottom of the palette, perhaps, or the top of the palette, you can see that the colour's just a little bit too, I suppose garish is the word. It's a really nice colour. I've always struggled with purples, always. And this is what on the after party last week and on Sunday on Discord with Adrian and Jeanette, I was talking about purple. That it's just a colour that I really struggle with. You get some beautiful colours in purple. You know what I'm trying to say. But it's just difficult to kind of get the effects out of it that I want. It has its place, and that's on Gene Stealers or on Eldar cloaks and things like that. Jeff says, think it looks nice all pink. Yeah, I just kind of wanted that tongue just to stand out a bit. If I have to go back over the crimson again, then I will. I just kind of wanted it just to be a little bit different, which is why I put some blue in it. Clearly it didn't work. Yeah. I'll let that dry for a minute. While I'm letting that dry, I'm going to paint this piece of the tail down here in the same white here, so that I can come back to it and make it look like a joint or a tendon. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Let me get my Screaming Skull. I keep on calling it Skull White, but I believe that is the name for just the white colour from Games Workshop. Do need to add a touch of water to this one because it's a bit thicker than those others. That is far too much water there. Okay. Righto. Right-o. That's a very Devonshire thing to say. Righto. Bit of paint there. Okay, so bye-bye yellow. The problem is that the yellow bit down there with all the brown shades did look really effective in that colour. So if this doesn't work, I've just ruined all of that. But sometimes you've just got to go with it. Just got to roll. Don't get anywhere if you don't try something, right? Just trying to find some natural lines as well, just to, you know, bring that colour up to. where are those borders? It's a bit on the thick side. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Spread that around. Just check that I'm in shot. I have a habit of not being. Okay, and it all just looks like one big block colour at the end, which is, at the moment, a bit of a shame, but it's going to change. So, not to worry. It's just about knowing where I want that colour to go. And it's one of those things I've had in my mind for ages, so I've got a good idea what it's going to look like. Oh, a bit of a shaky hand there. Nearly ruined some. It happens, man. Okay, now just around the back, where it gets up quite close to the grey, or right up to the grey. Doesn't get quite close. It is, it is the border colour. And this is, when I was looking at this part, this is where I had the idea of making this pink, just to make it like the carapace there was like the protection for this particular body part, like this muscle, if you want. Just in around the base there on one side. I'm starting to get an idea of what it's going to look like with that crimson shade on it, and it should look absolutely killer. I choose my words carefully there as well. Absolutely killer. Not because I'm trying to be the cool kid, but because that's what these creatures do, right? They kill stuff. Proper good. I think. I've not used one yet. I'm looking forward to taking Susan out. Okay. Just neaten up that little bit around there. Let's get a good saturation of colour on it. Trying to do it all in one go, which I necessarily shouldn't do. Sometimes I just want to get stuff done, you know. So many Tyranids to paint. Now just that last little bit in there. Well, as Jeff said, just add a tiny bit of the purple to the pink paint. Yeah, I could do. I mean, the pink paint isn't actually. It's not actually a pink paint. It's a crimson wash. So it's a really dark red. But when it kind of works in conjunction with the with this white, it just changes the color, and then when that crimson runs into all the little recesses, it leaves you with like a really dark red sort of appearance, and then when it sits on the more flush and proud surfaces, it just changes the hue of the white, or the off-white color, turns it to that pinky color, which is almost like brain matter, which is where I started using it. But you're right, perhaps if I add just a little bit of... I mean, I've got some medium where I can make my own washes as well. Or my own shades. This little bit here is being particularly difficult. There we go. Okay, just back over that beginning bit there as well. Oh, I'm holding the model a bit tight. Hands are hurting. Oh, knocked my paint palette. Be careful. Okay, so that is that tail portion almost completed. There's one tiny little detail which I have to use my needle brush for, and it is just here. There's a little bit of detail just in there which is a little bit small for the other brush. And there, that should stand out lovely when it's hit with the crimson in a bit. And with the crimson it might run around over the big claws, but the very quick once over again, just to neaten it up with the skull colour there, should kind of just bring those claws back up to scratch. I'm looking into that mouth there, that tongue is really purple. It's a little bit too much. So yeah, I'm probably going to go back on that. I could just try putting a little bit of the blue wash in there to see what it's like, but you can actually see some of the blue wash kind of coming through from the previous coat of paint, so I don't think it's going to work very well, which is a bit of a shame, but it's one of those things. So yeah, that's I kind of like playing with all these different colours and just experimenting and just seeing what happens. I see Leslie's put a comment in. He's put, test Susan round here. I'll have a game of 9th edition, as I've not tested any of my lovely armies that don't smell bad at all. I'd love to. Yeah. We've actually been talking recently, haven't we, about meeting up. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, we can meet in a house, as long as there's, not more than 6 people, and as long as the combined households are like no more than 2. So I think that's just me and you. Yeah, I'd love to come around, and I've got some days off next week as well, so maybe we can arrange something. That'd be kind of cool. I do have my I'm trying to book a COVID jab next week as well, so let's see how I feel, or if I actually can get to that, because I do have to go into work for a couple of days next week, so I'm going to see how it all works out. Yeah, starting to look really good. Just gonna give it a couple of seconds for that purple to come to a rest in there. I'm gonna give it one more go. I'm gonna give it a try with the other purple, the darker purple, and just see if that stands out any different, because it might just be that colour is just a little bit too cartoony. This is a much paler purple than you might think. I bring this paint palette into shot, you can see. Check out those colours. So this is the one that I've just used. It's a very deep purple. It's a very purple, frankly. And then this one over here is much different. How to explain the differences between the two? This one has a much more red effect to it, I suppose. This one here is much cooler. This is a warmer purple. One of those reasons why I struggle with purple so much is I just don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to purple. So we can see by holding the brush sort of against this area here how it's going to look. I don't know if the camera really shows it off that well, but from my point of view, it looks like a much better colour. So again, I'm just going to get it in there. seems to work quite well. Maybe I'll give it a hit with the crimson wash as well, just to kind of match the sort of the colour scheme in a little bit, if that makes sense. Bring it all together, blend it all in, tie it all together. It's running the wild with me now. It's quite a watery one, that one. Let me just dry my brush out. Get some control back in there. It's behaving quite like a shade, and that is no way for a paint to behave. I think that's looking a little bit better. Might have to go and neaten up around the base of the tongue in there a little bit, just at the bottom in the palette, where actually, if I'm looking carefully, I can see that I didn't do a very good job the last time. There's some quite exposed white parts in there, which could benefit from having another go over with some crimson. Just trying to make sure that the purple doesn't pool or gather or collect too much. It's a much more subtle colour, still quite striking. Don't really know how everyone feels about that, but then maybe just like Jeff says, perhaps I'll just do it all the same colour and just leave it at that. Maybe I'm fighting a battle that doesn't need to be fought here. Okay, well, do you know what? Once again, we'll come back to it. It's fine. Wash my brush out. It was quite harsh on the old bristles there. They were splaying out quite a bit. Perhaps I shouldn't have used that brush. Much easier to use than my rubbish brush though. So at least it got me some results. Okay. Well, again, I can now wait for that to sort of dry. It's quite a nice colour. I'd like to see it toned down a little bit. It stands out a little bit, but base colours always do against other colours that have yet to be sort of toned down with shades and washes and things. I think that sort of works. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm going to put some crimson in this area here, although I can still see it's still a little bit wet, so maybe I'll give that a chance to dry properly. Now maybe it's a good chance for me to do some grey on those claws perhaps. So I'll just get a little bit of grey out of here, just give those a good going over. Time to bring my big brush out. And it's just a couple of these big ones. We've got a little bit of colour that needs to go in underneath here. A little bit down the side. And this one is the worst one, so maybe not all of them need it. They're going to be really tricky to do that that black effect on as well. Like all of these things is kind of getting in the way. If I'm struggling with the Khan effects, oh my god, this is going to be a real test of my patience. But oh, it will be worth it. Susan is going to look really, really cool when she's all painted, along with Brenda, my Khan effects. Brenda and Susan. Not getting old, that. Keep hitting my lights. my brush has got more handle than it needs, I think. Okay. I think we are there. Make sure I get all those little bubbles out of my paint. Oh, and I can see one more bit. Because this week ain't nothing getting away from me. Okay. I'm going to have to come back and do some grey bits out anyway, especially if I want to later on do the lines on the back. So it's not the last time we do anything with grey. Not the base grey anyway. And then we'll come back and we'll have a little look at that purple, see how it's done after the intermission, which we'll go for now. And then once I'll have a little play with that, make sure that the crimson works fine on here, see what it does to the purple underneath in the tongue there, and yeah, and then we'll get almost little mini tanks as well. So I'm going to get my tanks sorted out during the intermission. A great opportunity for you to go stretch your legs, or refocus your eyes if you want to. Yeah, change your paint water. You should definitely go and change your paint water. Before we go, Jeff has said with the tongue that colour, it would lessen the impact of the eyes when you do them. Oh, that's a good point, isn't it? All these things to think about. Okay, well, more from me and eyes and tongues straight after here, after the intermission. See you in a minute. Cheers now. welcome back. I hope you had a good break. I did a good thing. Gonna show you in just a second. Yeah, if you're new here, welcome to the show. This is Easy 8 Online Painting Club, not a tutorial, just a nice little social area for you to come and chill out live with other people who are painting at the same time. You can find us over on Facebook, here on YouTube, over on Instagram, and as of late, also on Discord, where I will be for a period of time after tonight's show. If you want to come and have a chat, come and join us. The link to the Discord server is in the description of this video, so head on over. There are people in there all the time if you want to go on over. Well, not all the time, but you know what I'm saying. You can go over there and meet anyone anytime you like. You can head on over to Facebook. You can put up some pictures of the stuff that you've been painting this evening or just working on recently, or put up a picture of something to celebrate that you may have completed. That'd be cool. Yeah, and you can like and you can follow stuff as well. And if you wouldn't mind, if you are so inclined, perhaps you could give this channel a subscribe. Such a small gesture from yourself, but means so much to me and my co-host Kyle, who unfortunately isn't present recently. But if you want to find out why, just go back at the beginning of this video. Nice and simple. Cool. Leslie, I noticed you put up a couple of comments while we were in the intermission there. I've just realised. Sorry for my delay in response. Green stuff had to be told what to do. Yeah, green stuff. Yeah, just put your focus on what you're doing, mate. Don't feel like you have to talk to me all evening. I'd just like to be here, working away as I do, and if hopefully I provide you a little bit of company while you're doing your stuff, then that's all cool. Don't feel like there's any pressure on you to join in the live chat. But then you go on to say, but yes, do let me know how you feel next week for a game. Plus I have I have to tidy up the table workbench because it's a mess and a half. Yeah. I should imagine we're all the same. So yeah, do let me know if you don't have an untidy workbench, because there's probably something wrong with you. Yeah, you're not using it right. That's the point. That was a good glass of wine. Okay, gonna take you quickly over to the workbench to show you what I was just doing during the intermission there. Here we go. So I put some crimson on the tail, and it looks fabulous. That has come out better than I thought it would. And when you get like an idea in your head and you're like, yeah, this will hopefully look really, really cool. This looks really, really cool, and just it's such a simple thing. That's just one colour over the top of another. I'll take a photograph of this up close at the end of the show, but I can talk about it with you guys in Discord if you want to come on over. That's really worked really, really well. I might give it the slightest dry brushing back with the skull white. The skull, I keep calling it skull white, you know what I'm talking about, screaming skull. I actually use that colour as a light dry brush over the yellow, and it helps. It just helps take the edge off of the brown colours on there, dulls down the bright yellows. So yeah, I think I might hit that all over. This is the colour I use on all of the joints or tendons or exposed bits, if you like, and that's probably the largest piece of detail in that colour that I've done on the Tyranid yet. I think it works really, really well. This is what I was talking about with the Carnifex, is doing the muscles or the sinews or whatever you want to call them, the joint bits in between the crab claw up to the arm here, and just generally in the exposed joints there. And I think it will look really, really cool when I've done that as well. So I'm dead chuffed with it. You've got a really, really nice deep crimson that's just kind of resting in the recesses there, and it's faded out to that lovely pink colour. And it's not a bright pink, it's a really soft, dull pink, really flat sort of brain colour if you want. Yeah, it's worked really well. And that's led me into the mouth here, which is just not working with these purple colours. I can see what everyone was suggesting, why they were suggesting using purple. Purple's a really good alien colour. You see purple used a lot in Tyranid, especially in the tongues. I think with this whole colour scheme, I just don't think it's working that well. I don't really know why. I can't explain what it is that I don't think is working. It looks cool enough, but I think I'm going to have to take Jeff's advice on that, and I'm just going to have to go back to basics. However, I really do like the sort of the darker colours on this tail section here, in this pink bit, where it goes into the really dark crimsons. So what I might just do is I might just repaint the inside of the mouth again, go back to that white colour, take it back down to that base, restain it with the crimson, and then I'm just going to paint the tongue red. So I don't want to paint it a bright red. Obviously I want a crimson colour to kind of match with this. If you look at the inside of your mouth, I suppose your gums are quite pinky red, but your tongue is quite a deep red. but it's all the same sort of hue. Does that make sense? Am I making it clear? I kind of got this idea in my head now, and I think I know what it is I'm trying to achieve. I'm having a look through my airbrush paints here, and I've got some reds. I've got a gory red. I don't know if that's really a crimson colour. Probably not, but it might work as a good base and then put crimson over it to kind of give it a deeper colour. What other reds have I got? I've got a pink, which I don't want to use. I don't have an awful lot of reds, actually. Brassy brass? Nope. No, I don't have a lot of reds in my airbrush range, but that's not to worry, because I'm sure I've got some reds. Ah, here we go. I've got the only other red that I have, and that is a bloody red, which I think is more like the Blood Angels red. Then you can see that colour there. Too bright. That's too bright. Though if I put a crimson wash over it, it might work. Then I've got a gory red, and then you can see how the crimson compares to that here. So yeah, I have a little play with those colours, and I think that red might just work a bit better. Anyway, that's red. Got some silver here. Gonna have a little play just mixing it in with the white and see what happens, but I'll have a look at that one in a second. Just before I leave Tyranids behind then, just because I know that we've got some viewers for Tyranids who are quite interested in having a look at how I do my scheme, is that I bought some years ago now. I bought a Tyranid, which is a really large model, from eBay. It was an eBay rescue, and I put some like tentacles and stuff on him, and it's horrible, the whole colour scheme. I used this just to practice my colours, just to go, did I want grey? Did I want black? This is the same colour grey that you see on all my other Tyranids, but I did a sludge wash all over it with Nuln oil. It's appalling. It's horrible. When I finish all my other Tyranids, I will come back to this bad boy, and I will rescue him. It had missing spikes in the chest area, so I put loads of tentacles in there. I was playing with purples and pinks here, and you can see that the colour just stands out in a completely the wrong way compared to like other colours that I've been using, the crimson washes and things. It just pops, it stands out, it doesn't do what I want it to. This has been through virtually every iteration of weapons that I could possibly think of. You can see here as an example the bright green colour just in there. This is where I started practicing. If you take yourself all the way back to some of the earlier episodes of Easy Online Painting Club, you'll remember when I was painting my Biovore and I was trying to practice doing that. The colour scheme for the sacks on weapons, because they're biological weapons, they don't have like clips or magazines or ammo like that. They have a natural thing, and they're often supplied by like a big bulbous or pussy bag or something. And I had this idea in my head, and I could never really translate it very well into the physical world. I had this image in my head, and I couldn't get it out on paper, so to speak. And I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I had this idea and it just wouldn't go away, and in the end I had to settle with using that Necron colour, that Necron green that you'd use, and it works really well, and it doesn't stand out from the yellow so much. It's a very bright green, it's a very neon colour, so it stands out in that respect, but it didn't kind of clash with any of the other colours, and it works, but it wasn't really what I wanted. And then the other day I was just playing around some other colours just because I could, just while I was on Discord the other day, and I found the colour scheme that I wanted. Now, if you do Nurgle stuff, if you do zombie stuff, if you want things just to look a little bit gross and unnatural, this might be a really good colour for you to play around with. The colour that I use is Dead Flesh from Vallejo. This is in the air game range. And I think it's pretty identical to a lot of the sort of Death Guard colours, the Nurgle colours that you can get from Citadel. I'm not entirely sure what that colour is called. I've never owned it, but it's the rotting flesh sort of colour. The base is this on here, and then I very liberally applied a sludge wash of crimson over the top. This colour is really starting to save my hide. It's really, really good. And I've played with lots of different flesh colours. You can see on the back side of it here, I've used different things, and none of it really worked. But here, it's a little bit over the top with the crimson, but you get that really horrible, rotten, pussy coloured flesh coming through with the tender, almost bloody appeal that the crimson wash gives. I could then come and neaten it up a little bit, maybe dry brush or just apply a little bit of layering just to sort of tidy it up a little bit with some of the dead flesh. What I particularly like about the sludge wash effect, which I don't normally like doing sludge washes, is that it pulls and leaves tide marks, but where it has done that, it almost looks a little bit veiny. I really, really like it. It needs a lot of refining. That's what this model here is for. It's just for practicing. It's a blank canvas for me, really. Just for trying bits and pieces out. You can see that the blue eye on there stands out nice and electric. So, yeah. Perhaps give that a try if you wanted something pussy or tender or just gross and a little... I always wanted it just to be a little bit, not aesthetically pleasing, aesthetically disturbing. I wanted it to look a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit gross. And I could never really fully explain it. So, yay, I did it. So there's that. Jeff says, I need those colours. You want... Oh, yeah, because you're doing some Nurgle stuff, aren't you? So just see if you can find yourself some dead flesh colours. I know that Citadel do colours of it. I don't know what it's called. Vallejo do it. You can buy it in the standard brush colours. You don't have to get it in the air range. And they're normally about £2.50 for a pot. This is... How many millilitres do you get in here? I cannot remember. I think it's about 6. Oh, no. Is it... Do you know what? I don't know. You get some paint in these bottles. 17 millilitres. I've just seen it on another one. Does it say it on there? It doesn't say it on this one. But it says it on this one here. My burned flesh, 17 millimetres. Just over half a fluid ounce. You get quite a bit for £2.50. And Leslie's put another Tyranid I need to hug. Yeah, maybe when it's a bit better looking. You can see that here I've also been playing with powerfuls and tongues. It just doesn't work. But it's nice to know that the community were helping. So thanks very much, community. Cheers. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do with the mouth. Now look at the way that's drying. That's really, really nice. Really, really cool. Liking that. So anyway, let's put that away. Here's all the other flesh colours I was playing around with. I've got burned flesh, dark flesh tone, bronze flesh tone, dwarf skin, and then just simple flesh, really, really pale colour. That was the colour I thought was going to win the day. Didn't. So yeah, really happy with that as a colour scheme. Fantastic. Let me just move that over there. What I want to do, before I move on too far, is I want to have a good look at mixing some chainmail in with this colour over here. So I'm going to put a little dollop of this silver colour over here. Am I going to ruin my wet palette by putting silver in it? Probably. Let's put a little dollop in there. This is the mid-tone silver from Vallejo. They do a gunmetal colour which is darker than the Games Workshop version, which I think is now... Is it Ironbreaker? Ironbreaker? No, Ironbreaker. Not Ironbreaker. The Bolt gunmetal one, you know what I'm talking about. They have a gunmetal colour essentially. It's not the same. It's quite... the Vallejo one's that much darker. I'm going to bring some of this bone white colour here and just plop it beside it, and I'm just going to mix just an ever so slight amount of silver and just see what it does. And I can see already that it's making the white colour quite grey. This is what I mean by it affecting the hue. But if we get a bit of sparkle in there, a little bit of that silver sort of fleck colour, if you like. Fleck colour. Sometimes I don't even listen to what I'm saying. The sparkly bits, the glitter aspect. It's quite an ugly colour. But it might work in some places, you never know. Bring a bit more of the white into it, brighten up a little. Is it making it like a metallic white? Who knows? Okay, let's just mix it all in and see what happens. It is making it slightly metallic, you know. It's dulled it right down. I realise that my lights here are kind of bleaching it right out. Adrian's gone on to say, Lead Belcher, that's the one. Yeah. The Games Workshop or the Citadel. Gunmetal colour, Lead Belcher. It's really hard to show you on my screen here. I mean, my brightness is up on my screen so I can see things clearly. Maybe you can see that quite well. If you can't, just ask me and I'll take a photograph of it, because you might be interested to see what happens when you add metallic colours into other colours. I don't think it's going to really fit with my Tyranids, but you know, might work, who knows. However, let's leave Tyranids behind today. Let me just pop the lid on my wet palette. For another day. You can go over here. Susan, you can go there. Brenda, over you go, love. Cheers. Right. I'm going to get my piece of paper out because I think we're going to be doing a bit of airbrushing. This is exciting, isn't it? So the tanks that I have here, I've got, this is a Yagged Tiger. It's a beast of a tank. It's been sort of painted. Only on one side. It's because I had a little bit of that particular colour left over in my airbrush. I didn't want to waste it, so I just used it to kind of get it off onto this tank here. But this one needs to be painted entirely in that colour. I've also got a Tiger 2, or the King Tiger, or if you want to be German about it, the Königs Tiger. I took this actually in a game of What a Tanker a little while ago. It dominates. I took on, I think it was 8 M3 Lees. Yeah. They barely scratched the paintwork. I've also got a Ferdinand, or an elephant. Kind of cool. I think these are all going to be the same colour, and I might just make them different by having different camouflage schemes and things on them. But I think they're all quite late war, so they'll all be that really nice Dunkelgelb colour. Looking forward to painting that one. I've also got here, and this is such a cute tank. It's one of my favourites. Is a Stug 3. It's so cute. It's so small. Quite a chunk for the smaller chassis though, but yeah, you can definitely see how the German war machine advanced. I want to do him differently. I think he'll look really smart in the late war colours, but I want to do him in the Panzer Greys, because the Stug 3s were an early tank, and even though they were brought forwards later on in the war, it's quite nice to have a bit of difference in your colours, right? So yeah. Maybe I'll just have like a whole collection of greys and a whole collection of yellows. I don't really know yet. It's just a really cute tank. I just kind of wanted to get him out so that you guys can see it. It's wonderful. I'm not going to do anything with the greys tonight. So yeah, I've also got a mouse, but I'm not going to show you the mouse right now. If you want to have a look at the mouse and discuss with me the colours for the mouse, then you can head on over to Discord at the end of this show. I'm going to be on for at least half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on how many people are there and what we're talking about. And if you want to, then you can help influence the colours and the paint schemes and whatever for that tank and have a good old look at it. Cool. Jeff says, try a watery silver wash over dry white teeth. Should make them just a little bit shiny, possibly. I'll give it a go, see what happens. Yeah, I'll try it out on my Tyranid, use it as for the job that I bought it for. So yeah, I'm just going to get my airbrush and I'm going to give them a good painting up. Cool. I'm really looking forward to playing some What a Tanker with some friends. I've actually got some really good ideas for the Games Club, Leslie, and for anyone else that's interested in socialising at a Games Club. So if you want to have a chat about my ideas, I'm not going to talk about right now because I could go on and on and on about it. And frankly, we just want to get on with some painting right now. So come and join me over in Discord at the end of this evening. Yeah, to talk about those ideas. If you haven't already and you do want to come and join us on Discord, you just need to make a quick profile. The link will take you to Discord, the link that's in the description of this video. It's also just a couple of posts down on Facebook, and it just takes you to Discord and it starts making a profile for you. But Luke tells me that you do have to verify your email to be able to do it. I don't think that's a very hard task, but I think Darren said he did encounter some problems trying to do it earlier on in the week, but has since sorted it out. But it's just a great tool just to kind of talk to the rest of the community. So come on over, don't be shy. I'm looking at the view count starting to go through the roof. So welcome to the show. If you've just joined us, my name's Danny. It says it just down there somewhere. There you go. Right, so Dunkelgelb base, because these are my AK Interactive colours, and we've seen these so many times before, but they start off really light, super highlight colours right down to shadows, but this is the base colour. This is the one that I'm probably going to buy replacements for quite frequently. And I've got my airbrush, and hopefully I haven't used it for ages. It sounds like it's going well. It's looking pretty clean. I did clean it really well last time. I'm not going to put any transpirator in it because I don't want to turn it into like a wash or anything. I'm just trying to find my flow improver because it just stops it from drying a little bit inside the airbrush, and it just makes it last a bit longer. My mouth is so dry because I'm talking so much. I'm sorry if you get bored of my voice. You should just tell me. Okay, get that dry bit of paint there. And I've got a few tanks to paint, so I'm just going to give a good squeeze of paint in there. There we go. And then I'm going to put like maybe 3 drops of flow improver into it. There we go. And then I'll just get my mixing brush. I've got a good brush for it. Make sure there's no other pigment in there. Fantastic, because I was using silver a minute ago. Okay. And then just mix it all up. So in the game Water Tanker, which you can play with any scale tank you want to, but you ideally want to play it with lots of little ones because it's really good just to have loads of friends over. You can play it with just 1 tank each, you can play lots of friends and have a tank each, you can play it with just another friend and have several tanks each, and they've all got like point values and different periods in the war and things, so they all have like different effectiveness. And I played with my housemate a little while ago just to kind of test out all the different tanks they were. So he took, like I said earlier on, I think it was like 6 or 8 M3 Lees, and I took the Tiger 2 and a Panzer IV, and it was actually the Panzer IV that did more. But obviously, when you've got something of this sort of size on the battlefield, it has a fear factor. People want to go and deal with the issue. So. Oh, it's nice to be back airbrushing. Oh, how I've missed you, airbrush. It makes things so quick. If you haven't got an airbrush and you're thinking about it, I highly recommend it. I originally bought mine just to kind of get large quantities of Tyranid painting done because there's so many of them, and I knew that I wasn't going to get anything done soon. So I got them to kind of get me through the hordes. And then after a while I got really into it, and it just really elevated my painting, and how I view painting, not just like how I, not just what I do, but understanding paint and schemes. Yeah, it was good. It was worth it. These Zvezda models are a little on the tight side. Pop. Okay, cool. I have tried to drill that out a bit, but I'll probably get back in there and widen that little gap up a little bit more. Probably a bit easier than trying to sand that little peg down in there. But anyway, you also do get a little bit of gap on them sometimes. You can notice on the King Tiger here, there's a bit of a gap just in there as well. Sorry, the Yag Tiger. So yeah, just be aware of that when you're building with Zvezda tanks. Kyle said the same thing, because these tanks were given to us by Jeff, my dad. Thanks. Got loads of them. For too long I have these tanks sat there with no colour on them. The thing is, because I've been using the airbrush and these colour sets on my 135th Panther, it's very tempting to go a bit over the top with these tanks and just add too much detail to them and do too much of the colouring. But actually, at this size, they don't need it. Less is more, especially when you get down to this sort of size. It's just cramming too much effort into them, and there's no need for it. That's probably why it's taking me so long to kind of get these finished. It's because I'm treating them like they're a bigger model than they actually are. Don't do it. Danny's tip for the day. When I get the putties out to fill in the gaps on the back of my Tyranid, I might put a little bit of filler in some of these gaps just to kind of make it look a little bit less obvious. But they're so small, it doesn't really matter that much. I'm just a bit of a perfectionist, and when you're into your models, you want to treat them with a bit of passion, don't you? Every model deserves it. Such a nice colour. drying a little bit there? Yeah, it is. I think my airbrush doesn't work as efficiently as it should do, because I think I've just abused it a bit over the last couple of years, just learning. So be prepared for that. If you're thinking about getting one, you're not going to necessarily ruin your airbrush, but it's the needle on the inside that creates the seal, and the trigger moves the needle to let more air or paint through. But they're obviously very, very fine on the end. Any damage to them, which is very, very easily done, just is an area where paint can build up on them, and that obviously is an area where it can start to dry and then affect your painting. You can buy replacements. They are a bit expensive. They're about £30, but it's replaceable. You know, don't fret. What's £30 when you buy models, right? Just, you know, be prepared. It might happen. It's possible to scratch the inside of the paint well as well, just inside in here when you're cleaning a bit too vigorously sometimes, or depending on the tool you're using to clean. So do consider using soft tools. Again, if you make little scratch marks, it's an area where paint will sit, and when it starts to sit somewhere, it will start drying very, very quickly. Yeah. Okay, come back to that one in a minute with the barrel. And now over to the elephant, or the Ferdinand, whichever way you want to call it. Darren says, stripping clean later. Yeah, he is stripped down and being cleaned. I do him very, very regularly. I've got a little sonic cleaner for him as well, like a little jewellery cleaner, which works wonders on him. I just think he's, I've just abused it a little bit, really. Works fine. Just got to be a bit patient with it. I haven't put any undercoat on this particular tank, but at this scale, I'm not really all that fussed. I've done quite a few of these scale tanks without any undercoat. Just get a good covering and it works fine. But you can see there are some blemishes actually in the plastic that do show through here. But by the time I'm finished with him, it won't matter very much. Again, some large gaps in there from the Zvezda models. That's in a place where I think you're really going to see it pay an awful lot of attention to it, so I'm not really going to bother filling that one. But on the two tigers, I think, or the two larger tigers, I will. It's a very different looking vehicle, especially on the side profile there, and obviously this was Porsche's answer to the Tiger, when Henschel and Ferdinand Porsche were both vying for the contracts from the military, the German military, to make the Tiger tank. This is what the Tiger the hull would have looked like, apart from the casemate on the top here. They just kind of bolted those on because they made like 100 of them, and they turned them into the Ferdinand or the Elephant because they wanted to do something with them. But yeah, if Ferdinand Porsche had won that contest, so to speak, we would have very different history books visually, I suppose, with Tiger tanks looking like that. It's a very different looking beast, isn't it? The Tiger's so iconic as well. It's not as big as you think it is either. Well, everyone says that Tiger's a big tank. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a big tank. And when you hear it moving, it makes the earth shake, but it's not as big as you think it would be. And the Sherman, bigger than you think it would be. Bizarre. Okay, gone through that batch there, so it's very important that I give it a very good clean. So I'm just going to get a wet brush here, just run it around the inside of the hopper. So I don't want anything to really sit on the sides in there. Become a flaky bit of paint, like is happening there. Scoop that out. Thank you. That's the sort of stuff that will block your airbrush. Okay. That is my tired voice there for reaching over and grabbing things. I'll put my needle protector back on and give it a quick flush through. So yeah, I'm just going to give these particular tanks, I'll give them like a bit of a shadow effect, I'll give them a bit of a highlight effect, and then I'm going to do some various camouflages on them, and I'll just make them all look a little bit more unique and a bit more individual. Don't really know what sorts of camouflages I'm going to do on them yet. I have the AK interactive German camouflage, oh I've just dropped them, the German camouflage set from AK Interactive. I'll just put them back in the tray there. Fortunately no paint was open. But yeah, it's got the different colours. It doesn't have the yellow colour in it because you buy that as a separate modulation set. But you've got the red colour and the base, the shadow, and the light. And then you've got the green colour, which is the base, the shadow, and the light colour. So yeah, you can do some modulations with it. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into those. I will do that sort of colouring on the Panther as well, the 135th Panther. Jeanette's joined us there, I see. I made it late to the party as usual. That's fine, man. Come along if you want to. No pressure. Come along if only if you want. But it's nice to see you, so thanks for coming along. Cheers. Adrian says, and I'm learning from building my second 135th scale tank. As I'm learning from building my own 135th scale tank. Yeah, it's looking really good as well. Obviously, we were talking about it earlier in the week. A lot of people are starting to build 135ths, and I'm very happy about that because obviously it was something that I was like, hey guys, you should go and do this. So I've inspired you all to go and do it. Darren told me the other day that he's got some new builds on the go, or not new builds, but tanks sat there waiting to go. It's got a Panzer IV in 135th. It's my favourite tank. I think it's one of the longer versions as well. So one of the I think it's a later version, but it's one of the longer barreled ones, and that's what I like. I think they're cool. But I'm also a fan of the Stugs. Right. Put that hopper back on. Give him another flush through. And just enough time for that paint to dry, and then give a second coat. Okay, there we go. Back to the King Tiger. Also, I keep calling it a King Tiger. It's a Jagdtiger. It's bigger. It's basically a King Tiger with a casemate rather than the turret. Can't remember the size of the cannon it has, but it's bigger than the 88. It's enough to blow a hole in your weld. You don't want to be stood in front of it. That's for sure. Okay, some more base colour. I think I'm going to put a bit more flow improver in there this time just to stop it from drying, because I think it was starting to dry a little bit in there. So I'm going to put 4 drops in this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. With an airbrush, there's always a lot more just kind of going on, and a lot more to think about. But I enjoy it. It's just a fun process. I've actually thought about Maybe not with this airbrush, because I don't know if it works as well as it should do because of the abuse I've given it, but maybe I'll buy another one sometime in the future. Just have a go at canvas painting with it and just see what I can do. Leslie says, tanks, lots of tanks. Yeah, I was away for a little while, that missed the Tyranids turning into tanks, but these tanks are going to look cool, dude. Thank you very much. Yeah, I love them. I don't know what it is about tanks. I've said it before in other episodes in the past. I have that fascination with tanks that I think people generally do with cars. I'm not massively into cars, though I do appreciate them, and I know a little bit about them, enough to join in a conversation for sure. But that kind of fascination that people have with them, I think I have with tanks. And I try to learn a lot as I'm painting and doing things for games and stuff with them. It's interesting. I've spent many a dull afternoon reading about different types of tank wheels and tank track links and stuff that you just would normally call me very boring for. But yeah, for some reason I just find I get into it. I don't know why. Why question it, eh? Oh, went a bit heavy there, kind of got a bit of a splodge, but fortunately it's on the underside. Get those wheels painted as well. Wonderful. Such a beast of a tank. Such a beast. Okay. Back to the King Tiger. So when I was playing that game with the King Tiger and the Panzer IV against that 6 M3s, I'm sure it was 6 now I say it. It was still overkill. The points were balanced in the game, but I think having a big tank like this is probably better on its own. I think you'll get more out of it. One of the original missions in the game Tanks, which is just the armoured version of Flames of War rather than all the infantry sections to go with it, is just a Panther versus 2 Shermans, and a little village layout. Which side do you take and what would you do if the Panther gets the upper hand very early by eliminating or disabling one of the Shermans? You're going to be in a world of trouble. You need both of those Shermans to take that Panther out, and you need to outmaneuver it. That's exactly what would have happened, I suppose. But that's the challenge, and I think that having more than one tank, no matter what the opponent's really got in numbers, having something like a King Tiger or a Jagdtiger is, though it was funny, it wasn't that entertaining. What was more entertaining was just the general things that were happening, because the nature of that of the way the game plays is entertaining in itself. Like, you can do everything right, but if you don't roll the right dice, you're not loading your cannon. It's as simple as that, and that can make for some very awkward scenarios. So yeah, don't necessarily just take all the big stuff just because you can. It's much more entertaining on a smaller level, as most games are, I find personally anyway. But that's not to say that you shouldn't use the bigger stuff. Just consider what it is you're taking, even if the points say otherwise. So yeah, we were identically pointed. I took a Panzer IV, an early Panzer IV, and a King Tiger. And it was the Panzer IV that went around doing the damage, and my opponent was giving the appropriate amount of attention to both tanks, as and where. And occasionally I thought I was going to lose the King Tiger because the amount that it was taking, but it's just such a heavy tank, it didn't die at all. Incidentally, what doesn't happen in Water Tanker is your engine breaking down, which, let's face it, is probably what would have happened to a Tiger II. I see Darren's put a comment in there. Yep, me too. I suppose you're referring to, you know, the joys of, you know, researching tanks or just knowing about tanks. Yeah, I never used to be. It was only when I really started painting them. And, you know, I've always liked tanks because, you know, tanks, they're big and they have tracks and they have guns and stuff, you know. It appeals to the very boyish nature in me. But when I started to kind of really get into painting them and I started kind of researching them a little bit, that I actually started to understand a lot more about it. And I think they're wonderful machines, created for horrific purposes, of course. I'm just waiting for the COVID restrictions in this country to lessen that little bit more so that I can justify a trip to go back down to the Tank Museum, because I took my dad, Jeff, who's in the comments there, took him down to the museum for his 60th birthday last year. Just between all the lockdowns, it was a great time. We went down for Tiger Day, but because it was Tiger Day, there was other things that we didn't see there. Like they got the building where they actually restore all the other tanks. So there's whole sections we didn't see. I'd love to go back down there again, and it's just so close to where I live. Be a fool to not go regularly, you know. And your tickets are essentially season passes, which is great. So your ticket will last all year. Leslie says, dice games give me that uncertainty into what you're playing. You can plan at your list the best of your abilities, but that randomness to what can happen makes everything so much more fun. Yeah, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? It's the dice is the luck factor, or the, you know, the good fortune factor, or bad fortune, I suppose. I've played many games of 40k and, you know, other games where everything's just going so well for one person, and then just one dice roll just turns the whole thing against you. Yeah, it's certainly been entertaining. Stafford will tell you we have played some games of 40k together over the years, and just the other day when we were having a conversation, I was regaling him with the story of when he was playing his Tau gun line against my Space Marines, and one Marine who did not deserve to live ran away, fell back from his position 3 times, only to return and claim the strategic point that Stafford needed to keep me off of, to make it a draw, but I needed to take to win. Yeah, and he was the only surviving person from his squad in a very, very stretched out position. And he took every single bullet from the entire army. So after that game, I scrubbed out the sergeant name badge on the sergeant of that squad, and then I made him the sergeant, because you gotta have a little narrative flow to your games, right? Yeah, thanks, Steph. Darren says there are 150 tanks in the restoration shed. 150! Dad, are you listening? 150 tanks. Let's go there. Stafford says, that one bloody Marine. Yeah, man. Oh, such a good game. But it just goes to show that dice, like, he did not deserve to win. I was beside myself for winning. Yay, me. You know, you deserve to win that game, buddy. Okay, I'm just kind of waiting for some more paint to dry. This is just the bit that just takes the time, isn't it? It's just waiting for all of this. And the thing with this sort of scale as well is you don't even have to put effort into it if you don't want to. You could just you should paint them one colour. Just paint them this camouflage yellow colour if you wanted to. Paint all the American stuff just green. Be done with it. Jeff says, get your car keys. 150 tanks that we didn't see. Oh my god. I have to go. Right. Let's get that dry. Let's get this barrel done. The underside there. Get the inside of the wheels all done. I think I'm running out of paint. I find that when I'm getting low on paint in the airbrush, just these little pulsing shots, they're not good for being very neat. They do kind of seem to blast the remnants out. So if you're just trying to get like a bit of a base colour down, it's quite good just to get that little bit of a pulse out there, and it does help. Like I say, it's not very good for being neat or tidy, so don't do it for detail bits, obviously. Adria says, I have a 7-seater car, easy 8 road trip. Just saying. Right, just pop that tank over there. How's this one doing? Okay, let's get the wheel bits done in here as well. Oh, I've got a little bit of debris, not the cheese, in those wheels in there. I have to give them some tweezers in a second. I'll wait for the paint to dry a little bit more. I'll come back to that one. Just ran out of paint, just on the last set of wheels there. That's the way of it, isn't it? Right, let's get there. Oh, I hit the webcam. Sorry, sorry. Leslie's put road trip. As Darren said, you weren't allowed to walk around them. Only view them from a mezzanine floor above. Oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense, I suppose. But it'd still be nice to go down and see it. And you know, I've been there once, but I still want to go back and see all the stuff that I've already seen, just because, well, I like it, you know. And I know what to expect. We spent a very good portion of our time sat outside in the arena watching the Tiger display and then all the other tanks kind of driving around as well. So there was that time that I spent not kind of walking around the museum, where I just like to go and just have a really good look at it. Because obviously when you first go, you just kind of you spend ages and ages looking at the one thing in front of you, and then you move over and you spend half an hour looking at these two tanks, and then quarters of an hour looking at this one tank, and then by the end of it you go like, oh, I've got to rush now and get these 17 other tanks out of the way. So I want to go back and kind of maybe go backwards, perhaps, you know. Just flush through that airbrush there. I think what's a good idea is taking the hopper of the airbrush off, because where it's just kind of left a little mark in there, that's now half dry, and if I start moving my brush around in it will start to make a skin. And I think in previous sessions I've just ended up pushing that through the airbrush. So yeah, you can see that how it's starting to peel. So yeah, it's always worth, I think, taking the hopper off, cleaning that bit out, because when I go to mix the next set of paint in, it's just going to get agitated just by kind of mixing it all up, and then it's all coming out, innit? Don't do it. Look at all that's coming out there. That grin. Okay, right. I'm going to drop some water in the tank. No. Put some cotton on that and soak that up. There we go. I'm going to do just a little bit more now, just to kind of get the last of that colour out on these tanks, and that will probably bring us to the end of this evening's show. I'd like to apologise again for not getting the schedule out for the show nice and early. Like I say, it's been a busy week, but not so busy that I couldn't have done it earlier on. I say I had my Wednesday off, but I just ended up enjoying a day just sat in front of the TV. I had the house to myself, and it was really nice. I've been working really hard, or at least, you know, putting a lot of energy mentally into what I'm doing. So it was just kind of nice just to switch off for the day, and I just totally forgot to do it. So I got that lifting out just a couple of hours before the show started. So if you were left wanting, I apologise for that. I will endeavour to do better. I'm just going to throw my paint across the studio. Okay, I'm just going to put a couple of drops in this time. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. That'll be enough, just hopefully just to finish off some of these exposed parts here. I'll drop one drop of flow improver in there because it's about 1 drop per 10 to 12 roughly. Give it a good mix. Right, so let's get the wheels done on this bad boy. Cool. Let's come back to here and do the same with the elephant. See the difference between the colours? This one is a little duller, a little darker. This one is a little bit brighter. That's the difference that an undercoat makes. But by the time I've finished it, it's really not going to make an awful lot of difference at this scale. Who cares? Have fun. Just get them painted. Try not to remove the paint with my fingertips. Kind of getting a bit excited, so you want to kind of rush them. But I'm trying not to spend loads and loads of time on them, just because they're so small. And they're just fun. I shouldn't have to stress paint, you know? Oh my god, it has to be to this level of standard. Let's clean the end of that needle off there, I think. There we go. Right, come back to this one. Cool, that's not a bad bit of effort for this evening. Learned a lot with my Tyranids. Got some colour finally onto these tanks. Use the airbrush again, which always makes me happy. I've missed a bit on the back on that one. And there we are at the end of the hopper. Fantastic. Pop that needle protector back on. And yeah, I'm just going to give him a bit of a flush through. Bit of water to start with. And I've got some here 50-50 water and cleaner mix, which is always worth kind of giving it a bit of a thorough application. What have we got here? Darren says I had to take 2 photos to capture all of them. If I see if I can find them. You mean like the bigger tanks? Some of them are just huge. Stafford says just posted to Facebook size comparison Tiger, Panzer IV and Sherman. Yeah, looking forward to seeing those bad boys in a minute. Leslie says no worries dude, it still turned out to be another good night where we could all do our projects whilst watching and listening to you dude. Thanks very much man, that's all it should be. That's all I want it to be. I'm not trying to be anything bigger or better than I am. I'm not the world's best broadcaster or painter. It's just nice to kind of have a bit of company while you do the hobby that we all love, right? Because it gets lonely. It gets so lonely. Ah, so lonely. But I love it though. If I could get paid just for sitting at home and doing this all the time, I'd probably go mental in a week, but I'd give it a good go. Right, let's just get this last little bit out here, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. Just going to put a bit more water through there. Starting to get a bit of a skin developing in that hopper. Let's rescue that quickly. Ugh, gloopy. Yeah, definitely the right idea to not flush that through. I've just been lazy in the past, I think. Okay, cool. Sweet. We are cleaned. Well, sort of, anyway. Well, there we go. That's another Friday evening. Another one done. I hope you've had a productive evening. I hope you've got somewhere with all of your models. I've certainly. I feel like though it hasn't been a lot. This is what I was thinking like throughout the week. Though it hasn't been an amazing amount of stuff done, I feel that the progress or the schemes, paint schemes and things that I've done. I've been really productive, like learning how to use that pink color, learning how to paint the tongue on the Tyranid, learning how to just kind of showing you like what I did with that dead flesh color. Yes, but it's been really good, and it's nice to get some paint on these tiny little tanks as well. Really looking forward to being able to play some games with you guys in the near future. Watch this space. Yeah, so that's that really. If you haven't done it already and you like what we do here, please do consider subscribing. Like I say, it is a very small gesture from your side, but it means an immense amount to Kyle and I and to the rest of the community who enjoy Easy 8. So please do, if you haven't or consider doing it, bring a friend. Some of you guys have been bringing friends, and that just makes it all so much better. If you're one of those people that are new and you're not watching it live, hi from the past to the future. I don't know how that's kind of an Easy 8 time machine. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get a lot out of it. Please do feel free to come along and join in the live chat. We are active on Facebook all the time. And then, of course, there's Discord, where I'm going to be in just a few minutes for at least half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on how many people come over, see what the conversation turns into. If you haven't already, click on the link either on Facebook or on the post on Facebook, or in the description to this video. You will see that there's a link to Discord there. I'll ask you to make a quick profile if you haven't done that already. Luke says you need to verify your email address. I think there's literally just a click. So yeah, do that, because that's part of the terms and conditions for Discord. And then there's literally just various chat rooms where you can tippy tappy away to kind of have a chat with us if you want to, put up pictures, advertise your stuff if you want to sell it, talk with the community about anything you want. And there's also a couple of video rooms in there as well. You don't have to join in the video. You can still type to us, because we can keep the video going and still see what you're typing somewhere else if you want to. If you're on a phone, it might not work so well, so that might be the best thing to do. I don't know. It's there for you. Come along and have a chat. I'm going to be over there in a minute. Do come along, because it's fun. All right. Anyway, this evening's been really, really good. I've had a blast. I hope you've got lots done. Please do put your photos up on Facebook. I've been Danny. You've been fantastic. I'll see you next week. Be safe, be kind, and keep on painting. I'll see you soon. Cheers for now. Bye-bye. Woohoo! Another follower!